Hello everyone, my name's Aloubell and welcome to part 15 of Miraculous Bonds Beyond Fate, my Miraculous Ladybug AU with a different origin story and different other things too. If this video is your first exposure to Bonds Beyond Fate, then please check out the story from the beginning. Return for part 15 when you are ready. For everyone else, sit back, relax, hit that like button for the algorithm, subscribe for more reviews, rants, and rewrites, and if you want to support me even further, you can become a channel member by clicking the join button. Not only will you get cool perks, but you'll be helping me towards my dream of a creative career. A full-time job in this means more videos for all of you. No pressure though, I still like making videos regardless. Anyway, put the imp emoji in the comments and enjoy Miraculous Bonds Beyond Fate Part 15. Last time on Bonds Beyond Fate, we got to see the story through Cat Noir's point of view. We saw what he was doing when Marinette went to sneak into Switzerland and he had to patrol Paris on his own. During his adventures, he mingled with his fans, helped some civilians out with their everyday challenges, baked with Marinette's parents, and got some insight on the drama between Chloe and Alya. He had no idea of the history between the two and struggled to bring it up with his friends. And now, the story continues. It was morning and Nino was waiting outside of the school, looking on at the streets, frantically checking his watch every few seconds. Come on, he'd say under his breath, anxiously. His other peers were making their way into the school, chatting amongst themselves and giving him no attention whatsoever. Come on, guys, what's taking so long? After several moments, Nino was left all alone. He checked his watch again. Just then, from around the corner on the other side of the street came Marinette, Alya, and Adrian sprinting at top speed. Nino breathed a sigh of relief. They ended up having to bob and weave around some of the cars that had slowed down after noticing them, but they were in one piece. Once they reached their friend, they all stopped and toppled over, sweaty and catching their breaths. Whoa, cutting it pretty close there, guys, Nino said with a grin. You should learn not to underestimate us, Adrian said through his heavy panting. Ugh, I always hated track and field, Alya commented. I'm literally suffering. Too bad we couldn't stay until we got closer to the school. We could have gotten here earlier if we did. Marinette breathed heavily as well. You know why we couldn't do that. Yeah, secret and all that. Alya then took a deep inhale and then let it out. Okay, I'm no longer dying. You two good? She turned to Adrian and Mari. They both gave her a thumbs up as they continued to recover. Nino placed his hand on Adrian's shoulder. Come on, man. Let's drop by our lockers before class. You can hit the water fountain on the way. Adrian chuckled. Sounds good. He turned to face the ladies. See you both in class, all right? They waved to him and the boys went off on their own. Must be nice having lockers right next to the classroom, Marinette said, referring to the boys as she and Alya journeyed to their own lockers. Why do ours seem especially far today? Exhaustion will do that to ya. But let's just make sure to thank our not-so-friendly neighborhood hawk moth for making our morning oh so super exciting, Alya said sarcastically. Yeah, what's up with that? Who initiates an attack so early in the morning? Mari complained. He goes several days being completely silent, and then he decides to be the world's worst alarm clock. Let's look on the bright side, Marinette. I've never seen you get ready for school so quickly. That's a personal record for you. Marinette groaned. And I gotta say, the disheveled look is pretty charming. Alya giggled. With a grimace, Mari patted the top of her head and attempted to flatten her hair. She then adjusted her pigtails. I didn't even get a chance to brush my hair. I'm a mess. We're teenagers, Marinette. Most of us are a mess. You fit in just fine. But I'm sure Adrian finds it adorable. Mari immediately blushed. Oh, my lady, how can I count the ways of your loveliness? I shall do so for each letter of your name. Meow. Alya made a dramatic pose as she mocked Cat Noir. Mari bumped her friend's elbow as she giggled. Stop it. She then tried to change the subject. You were pretty awesome out there. I'm so glad you're a hero now too. You have no idea how much relief it gives me. And Adrian too, of course. Alya clicked her tongue and gave her friend a thumbs up. Like I said, I've got your back, girl. Just say the word and I'm at your service. Milady. She gave Mari a sly smile. Marinette lightly elbowed her. You're the worst. But also the best. Now, don't give me all the credit. After all, Hawkmoth did us a solid today. It was so nice of him to lose so easily. I didn't know he liked us that much. Maybe I should create a nice gift basket for him for his troubles. Marinette played along. After all, he must really care about our education. Alya laughed. There you go. The two girls continued laughing as they made it to Marinette's locker. However, the moment she opened it, the fun immediately stopped as she gasped in shock. Sensing her friend's dread, Alya asked, "What's wrong?" Before looking into the locker herself, her eyes widened. There were several layers of yellow, thin, sticky, silly string covering every inch of the contents of her locker. No crevice was ignored. Its consistency felt more like slime, though, as it wouldn't easily depart from the surfaces when Marinette reached in to take it out. Aww, all my books and school supplies. It'll take forever to clean this up. Who would do this? Alya scowled. Do you really have to ask? It was obviously Chloe. But how would she even get in? There's no sign of anyone using force. She's stupid rich. And if Batman and Iron Man have taught us anything, that's basically a superpower. Alya reached into the locker as well to feel the gunk. Ugh. Actually, there is something super surprising. She's not usually so bold when Nino and I are around. Still feeling dejected while trying to clear the mess to get the books she needed for the upcoming class, Mari asked, "How do we even know that Chloe did this?" Huh. Very interesting that you'd give her the benefit of the doubt after everything she's done to you. We still can't jump to conclusions. Alya sighed. It has Chloe's name written all over it. Yellow is her signature color. After all, she did say, yellow is the new pink. Besides, even if you ignore that, she's the only one who has a problem with you enough to do something like this. Grabbing her items covered in the slimy substance, Marinette dejectedly closed her locker. Any and all amusement she had before was long gone. With a frown on her face, Marinette sluggishly made her way to class. Oh no, we are not doing this, Alya proclaimed. Placing her hand on Marinette's back, she lightly pushed her forward, forcing the girl to walk faster. We're gonna be late if you do your walk of shame. But Alya, I can't go to class like this. You can, and you will. Don't let a bully like Chloe get you down. That's precisely what she wants. Don't give her that power. You march into that classroom with your goopy books with confidence, because I guarantee you that the moment we walk in, Chloe will have that slimy grin on that smug little face of hers. If you show her any weakness, you lose. And Marinette Dupanchang doesn't lose. You're kidding, right? Are you? You're not the same little girl who got tossed around by Chloe Bourgeois. Dig deep down into your inner superhero and channel that energy into finally defeating her. Marinette searched her thoughts. I guess I can use Lucky Charm to make a solvent to dissolve this icky stuff. See? There's my favorite problem solver. And even if you didn't have powers, you could either order new stuff or wait for the goop to dry and have some, unique materials. I mean, I don't have any books covered in slime. Honestly, I'm kind of jealous. Alya grinned at her. As bad as she felt, Marinette chuckled. Feel free to take mine. And by that point, they finally reached their classroom. Everyone else was already there, including Nino and Adrian, who immediately noticed that something was up. Although they couldn't tell exactly what it was at their vantage point. Their other peers faced them as well out of curiosity. Although most of them lost interest quickly and resumed with their own business, some others did happen to notice the slime and couldn't help but stare and whisper amongst themselves. And, predictably, upon eyes gliding over at Chloe, she was grinning evilly and looking Marinette right in the eye. Alya glared at her while Mari looked frightened. Chloe didn't linger too long, though, as she turned her head to face the teacher, still grinning and glancing at them out of the corner of her eye. "Marinette, Alya, I'm glad to see you girls. You're right on time with 10 seconds to spare," Miss Bustier said cheerily. "Please, take your seats." Remembering her misery, Marinette begrudgingly made her way to her spot, with Alya following closely behind. After they slid into their seats and sat down, Adrian bent over a bit and whispered, "Are you okay? What happened to your books?" Without looking at him, Marinette answered, "I'll explain later." And so, class started and Miss Bustier began her lecture. At first, Mari had a hard time focusing, both because of what happened to her stuff, but also knowing that Chloe's atmosphere was looming over her. It filled her with anxiety knowing that Chloe was willing to harass her while her friends were around, while Adrian was around. Although, she didn't do anything directly in front of him, and it's still not confirmed that she actually did anything. Sure, she was grinning when she saw Mari, but that could have just been her noticing that Mari was having some trouble, and she was just laughing at her misery. This morning really wasn't going well. Meanwhile, Adrian was concerned. He had so many questions, but what he did know was that the girl he liked, his friend, was upset. He also had a hard time focusing on the lesson. Alya, meanwhile, was stewing in her anger. She wanted to chew Chloe out so badly, and it took a lot of self-control to not get on her case right this second. And poor Nino was detecting all of this negative energy and just didn't know what to think or what to do. There were bad vibes everywhere. Eventually, Miss Bustier's lesson came to a close just as nutrition break was underway. When she dismissed everyone, Marinette and her peers all gathered their stuff and stood up from their seats. And then, curiously, there were snickers heard throughout the room. It took a few seconds, but Adrian looked down at Marinette and he saw it. Marinette? Your pants are all brown in the back," Nino announced. Alya peered at Mari's behind and gasped. "They're what?" Marinette frantically turned her body around in circles trying to see what they saw, but couldn't with her bodily limitations. Once Miss Bustier had a good look at what happened, she gasped and held her hand up to her mouth. "Oh my, how did..." Watching Marinette spin around like that made her classmates laugh a bit louder, but the one cackling the loudest was Chloe. She made sure her laugh was heard above them all. Eventually, Marinette stopped spinning and felt behind herself. She was surprised to find that it was wet. When she brought her hand up to her face, she saw that her hand was covered in what looked like brown, chemically smelling paint. "Uh-oh, looks like Marinette had a little accident. How sad," Chloe mocked. After shooting Chloe a dirty look, Alya escorted Marinette out of the room. Chloe continued to laugh. "Chloe," Adrian scolded. "What? It's not my fault," she shrugged before chuckling to herself. Adrian and Nino soon followed after the girls. Chloe then glanced over at Miss Bustier, who also shot her a look of disapproval and disappointment. She shook her head at the girl, which made Chloe stop laughing as she put on a little pout. Staring down at Marinette's seat, she narrowed her eyes and grinned to herself. While that was going on, Alya had led Marinette into the closest girl's bathroom. "These are my favorite pants." "Oh." Mari rushed over to the sink. Maybe if I wipe off the paint super quick, they can be saved." Right as she turned on the sink, the water shot out at her in a rushing stream, completely soaking her and partially soaking Alya, who was standing nearby. As Mari recoiled backwards, she slipped and fell onto her bottom. Hearing the commotion, Nino called into the bathroom from the outside. "What's going on in there? You girls all right?" Alya replied with a loud groan as Mari just sat in her puddle of defeat. "Alya? Marinette?" Adrian called. "You know what? No, not today." Alya helped Mari up, who was still slipping and having a hard time getting her balance. "I have no idea how that yellow snake did this, but I'm getting sick of it." She eventually managed to get the girl up and on her feet. Alya then stomped out of the bathroom with purpose in her eyes. "Whoa, you're all wet," Nino pointed out. "Oh, don't worry. I'll soon be dry from the heat of my righteous fury." Alya roared. Did who I think did this do this? Nino asked. Who, Chloe? Adrian asked skeptically. I can believe she put the paint down, but she's not exactly a plumber. This was probably just an accident. Oh wow, she really has you fooled, doesn't she? Alya addressed him bitterly. She's not some innocent angel aggressed. She's a menace that needs to be stopped. Uncomfortable, he scratched the back of his head. I know she has some problems. Oh, it's way bigger than just some problems. And I intend to do something about it. But before you do anything drastic, Mari interjected, I think we should just take some time and, calm down. Calm down? Marinette, you're the first one who should be upset about all of this. I am upset, but, I don't know. This just doesn't seem worth it. It's like you said, Alya, don't let her get to you. I'm not sure why she's so aggressive today, but if we don't give it attention, she should go back to mostly leaving us alone. Mari sighed. I think we should just go to our gym lockers and wear our PE clothes for the rest of the day. I mean, it's all we can do, really. It's not like we have any proof that she did it. Alya's face trembled with anger, but after a few moments she sighed and her body relaxed. Yeah, you're right. The last thing I want to do is give her the satisfaction. All I really want right now is to get out of these clothes. She forced a chuckle. As much as I know I can pull off any look, this one is not it. The group then started to make their way towards the gym, trying their best to ignore any nosy onlookers. However, right as the two girls passed under a balcony, a waterfall of cooking flour spilled over on top of them, stopping them in their tracks as they stood completely stunned. Whoa! Nino exclaimed. What the heck? Adrian added. A crowd had begun to form around them. Naturally, some of them couldn't help but take their phones out and started taking pictures or video recordings of the spectacle. Neither Alya nor Marinette could fully process what just happened. They both simply remained in place with shocked, unbelieving expressions. The flour was starting to mix with the water, turning into an unappealing dough-like substance. It was in their hair, all over their clothes. It was a mess. Oh dear, what happened here? The crowd parted, and there was Chloe, standing with such a condescending attitude as if she owned the whole world. She had on a sleazy grin as she sauntered up to the girls. Ooh, what an awful accident. What an absolute mess. Such a series of unfortunate events, she said in a mocking tone. Chloe, did you do all of this? Adrian asked with an authoritative tone. He then shook his head. No. Why did you do all of this? She scoffed at him. I assure you, Adrikins, I have no idea what you're talking about. I simply walked by and noticed the commotion. My poor classmates here were in trouble, so of course I came to make sure they were okay. She placed herself several inches away from Marinette's face. Then again, Baker Girl seems like she's right in her element. A little dough never hurt anyone, right? She snickered. Alya clenched her fists. Marinette avoided Chloe's judgmental blue eyes. All she wanted to do was shrink into the smallest size and escape the situation. She wanted to run away and go home. She started to remember what Alya said earlier about not letting Chloe get her way. It was even the advice that she threw right back at Alya only a few moments before. Of course, it was easier said than done. It required a very specific strength to stand up to a tormentor after such a long history of being tormented. Did she even have that strength? That's when something finally clicked in Marinette's head. A literal madman has been trying to kill her. For a while now, she's been having to fight against said madman, who had magical powers to create other villains with magical powers. That could kill her. All of her friends and family were in danger more often than she'd like. Suddenly, Chloe's petty little pranks didn't amount to much. What could Chloe possibly do to her anyway? She's Ladybug. She has superpowers and super friends by her side whenever she needed them. In fact, you know what, Chloe? I feel bad for you, Mari blurted out. Chloe frowned and blinked in confusion. Excuse me? You're just lonely and pathetic. The crowd gasped, mixed with sounds of cautious awe. Chloe's eyes twitched as she frowned. Yeah? Well, I'm not finished. Marinette looked the bully in the eye, completely staring her down. You're not worth the worry. I don't know what your problem is, but instead of taking your anger out on me, try fixing what's going so wrong in your own life. To be honest, I wouldn't mind trying to be nice to you and being your friend if you weren't so rotten and didn't have such a toxic personality. You're all alone, Chloe, and yet you never stop to even consider how you are the problem. Money will only get you so far, and I wish you learned that lesson before something really, really tragic happens to you. But if you honestly insist on being set in your ways, fine. If you want to keep trying to mess with me, then by all means, bring it on. But I promise you that you'll never bring me down or break me. Never again. And even if I can't handle it, I have my friends here to support me. So, although I'm not sure what game you're trying to play at, you've already lost. The crowd of kids burst out in roaring applause and whistles, while Chloe was left wide-eyed and speechless. Both Alya and Nino looked on at their friend with smugness and pride. Adrian, however, was completely conflicted. It's not like Chloe didn't need the wake-up call, but he didn't want her put on the spot like that. But at the same time, he didn't want to refute Marinette. Still stuck in shock, the cheering shot through Chloe's very core. In her mind's eye, she saw her and Marinette standing on a stage. The audience was fawning over the blue-haired girl, completely enamored by her, while they laughed at and booed at Chloe. She felt so very small. In fact, she was looking on at a child version of Marinette, while she herself was also a small child. What an utterly exceptional young girl! Very astute. You have a bright future ahead of you, said a woman's voice as the woman bent over to pat a cheery Marinette on the head. Stunned, child Chloe said, "But I'm exceptional too." The woman, now frowning, looked on in disgust at Chloe. "The only exceptional thing about you, my dear, is your sister and your fabulous mother." Chloe gasped, and behind the woman she saw the child Marinette smiling like a Cheshire cat. Completely breaking, Chloe, in the present, let out a shrill scream as she threw her head back and held it in her hands. Everyone went completely silent. She then started to yell at the real Marinette, who wasn't grinning at all. "Everything is all your fault! You're nothing but a witch, an ugly evil witch who uses her magic to bewitch everyone! I wish you were gone, Marinette Dupanchang! I hate you!" In the blink of an eye, Alya slapped Chloe across her cheek. But as for now, that's all there is. There isn't any more.